Hey everyone, it's Rebeckah Ruth. Thanks for tuning in to another segment of Living Worthy. Today I'm joined by two gentlemen. We decided to do a guy's version this time. So I am joined by Jason Elliott and Devin Lyric. Hey guys.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, thanks for having us.
Not a problem. Thanks for being here. I'm going to let you gentlemen go ahead and introduce yourselves. So Jason, how about you go first?
Ooh, I was hoping you'd pick somebody else to go first so I knew what to say. No, my name is Jason Elliott, and I'm a model and a coach and a mentor and so many things, but I'm based in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I'm very excited to be here and can't wait to chit chat about being worthy in this industry.
Ooh, I like what you did there, Jason.
Yes,
I like
yes.
what you did there. Thank you.
Nice little segue.
Yeah. And Mr. Devin Lyric, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, I am Devin Lyric. I am a singer-songwriter. Outside of music, I am a serial entrepreneur. I do have a luxury ladies and gentlemen apparel and glasses wear line, District 9, and I also have Opulence Media Group, OMG the brand, and we do their photography, graphic design, business startup, and marketing, coaching, and development. So that's who I am. And I'm based in the Rocky Mount, Roanoke, Virginia area.
Awesome. And yes, OMG plug did my newest logo, or my new logo. I shouldn't say my newest as if I'm going to get a new one. My new logo that I love. So that was Mr. Devin Lyric's company. And I own 2 pairs of District 9 collection glasses. Actually, I was wearing them to brunch the other day. And I was like, I actually took a picture, but I didn't like the picture. So that's why you didn't see it posted anywhere.
It's okay. It's more chances.
But I did take the picture. So, I mean, that's a good place to start, because so one of the things that I was thinking about, so you guys are both in the fashion industry, fashion modeling industry. So what does it look like from a guy's perspective being in this industry where a lot of the times the focus is a lot of time on the ladies? So from y'all's perspective, what does it look like for you?
Yeah,
Devin, I went for his intro, so you go first with the answers.
Okay, that's the deal. Yeah, I feel like as a man in the industry, it definitely is more women focused. I think that when it comes to maybe modeling, I know on the photography side, I like to incorporate more things to where I can incorporate more males in it, just because I feel like it's an industry that's tapped into, or a side that's tapped into, but it can be tapped in a lot more. So I think that it takes a bit more time to get out there, to be sought after in the industry. But I see that it's coming up. So I am proud to where it's headed.
You feel like it takes more time to be sought after as a guy in the industry? I mean, also because you're not a model, so you're not like in front of the camera a lot. So you're just saying it's harder, like you got to work a little bit harder to be seen, probably.
Yeah, I think that it's harder to be seen. And I think that a lot of, on the photography side, I work with a lot of boutiques, entrepreneurs, and a lot of the entrepreneurs are women entrepreneurs, and their businesses are geared towards women solely. So I'm working with a lot of female models, whether it's clothing, whether it's a business with, hair, lashes, eyebrows, makeup, shoes, things like that. And I think that there isn't an equal amount of unisex businesses, at least as of yet, that I've been able to tap into personally. It is more women geared. So what I do personally is I look for opportunities, or I try to create opportunities where I can bring more males in, because I don't know if the work is equal with on the modeling side, but what I'm seeing is just it's a little harder. So I like to, if I can, create more opportunities so it can be a more equal base in the industry.
Okay. Yeah, Jason, tap in, because you are in front of the camera a lot. So
yeah, I get to be on the other side of that conversation too. Yeah, and I will say as a model, I appreciate that you're giving that space for more, of a balance with it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, what Devin said is absolutely correct. Is we've got a lot of really incredible women who are doing some really incredible things for more incredible women, and sometimes what that means is the cool jewelry that you see is marketed towards women, and we're like, well, can I do it? So I think for me, one of the cool things, that I've had the chance to do is work with some amazing businesses that say, oh no, like this is for women. Like, well, why? Like, why is it, and how is it? Let's see if we can also like pepper in a little bit of stuff. So if it's necklace, if it's jewelry, if it's camera straps, if it's whatever it might be, showcasing the versatility of a product can also increase its, marketability as well. So I think that's really important. And something I always tell guys, which I hope one day can change, is that in a lot of pieces of this industry, we are the accessory too. And so, especially having done most of my work in the wedding industry, the focus is on the flowers that the bride is holding, or the gown that the bride is wearing, or the ring that I supposedly bought that bride. And so, it can feel unbalanced, but I think we are coming into an age where, we're working with incredible designers who are doing menswear, and that's awesome. One of my favorite collaborators ever, Fontaine Concierge up in the Baltimore, Maryland area. He focuses all of his art and his craft specifically on grooms and the grooms' parties, and I think that type of mentality of, hey, like certain days and certain parts of the industry are just as important for men as women or anyone else, is really taking us into a new era when it comes to being a model.
Yeah, like I think it's interesting because honestly, one of my favorite lines is actually Hermes men's line. Like every year, every collection they come out for the men, I actually love way more than the women's line the women's collection that they come out with that year, because I feel like Hermes is one of those fashion houses that takes men's wear to another level. Like, don't get me wrong,
Mm-hmm.
the suit is great and everything like that, but what I see mostly in the industry is that it's like for menswear, it's either super casual and you're just kind of doing like this casual thing, or it's a suit, right? And it's like we're kind of missing the in between for men. So Hermes can take like a simple look and like jazz it all up, and it's like it's something that I could see a guy just walking down the street wearing. He's not necessarily going to a wedding, but he's also not just like chilling out with his boys, you know what I mean? So it's like I look forward to their line every single season, because I feel like they do menswear, but they do it really, really well. Something that's come up for me is the whole gender neutral thing, which I think is, it is what it is with me and the gender neutral thing. Like, I think I like the concept, but I feel like I'm not a guy. So this is you guys now. My only concern with the gender neutral thing is, again, missing the mark with guys and like the essence of a man still, which I feel like men are already so underrepresented in this industry. So then when you do gender neutral, it's like, okay, so now we're taking away another element of like the man. So I don't know. How do y'all feel about that?
I know exactly how I feel on that.
Okay.
So I feel like in those cases, we're not showcasing menswear and we're not showcasing male models. We're showcasing the art and the talent and the skill that goes into the final product. And so, I actually, if people know me, they know like God didn't give me a forked tongue, but he gave me a sharp one. And he also gave me, kind of like this mentality to go along with it sometimes. And not too long ago, somebody in the industry ripped apart a particular designer's line because they said these are not men that are wearing these, because this is not menswear. And so you can't wear something that's gender neutral and still be a man. And I said, oh, okay. Well, I'll let you have your opinion on that, but I happen to really like what I see on the runway. And they kept pushing the point. So I called up a couple people And I said, let's do a gender neutral photo shoot. Let's do it right now. And let's showcase that it doesn't have to fall into a certain dichotomy or a certain binary to be impactful. And lo and behold, that turned into an 8-page spread into a fashion magazine. So I think it really comes down to understanding why are you picking a certain design, or what are you doing with that product. And if you want menswear, all right, like maybe there's a certain idea about what that's going to look like, a certain lapel or a certain shoulder pad, or not too deep of a neck. But I think if we're talking about fashion, it does not have to be in this same binary. And I think if we're talking about art and talent and representation, it doesn't have to be anything we've ever seen before, because we're living in a time that we've never lived in before.
This is true. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
I like your answer. That's good. Not that
Absolutely.
I have to okay your answer.
That's all right. Look, if you don't, you don't, and that's okay. I haven't been booked for plenty of other things because I wasn't the right model for it. And and I think that's the thing too, is if you are like, I will never be a fitness model for a menswear line. I know what my physique is, and I know it is not what you want to show people what it is to be a ripped old like you can't wash anything over these apps, I'm telling you. So like, I know that that's not my market. And there are some people who know that their market is never going to be anything other than what they've done and what they're comfortable with. And so that's why it's important, as we talk about here all the time, knowing your worth in the industry and knowing where that worth is most impactful is really important.
Right. Absolutely. Devin, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I agree. I do think that it can still be very impactful. And just being a creative, the art of it that he was pointing out, the art of it is something completely different. And I think that it's a start, and it can go a lot of places from here, because I agree we're just in a different time. And I think that, with being in a different time comes, different things. On the other side of my feeling towards that, I do feel that men may feel that, like, where's our identity? Where are we going in fashion? Because I feel like over time, with women and women's fashion, and what is the image of a woman, the essence of a woman, it's been pinpointed, and it's had a starting pinpoint, and it's been able to develop and grow from there. And I feel like on the other side, as males, I think that the same thing is wanted. Like, where do we want to have a solid stand within the industry, a solid pinpoint of the essence of a man, the look of a man. But it kind of can get mixy, because it's like, is that, before that can be fully developed, are we going to strip the image? And this is something that you have to fall into, and you have to fall in line with what's happening now, or are you going to be left off at the wayside? Because there's already been a feeling of, we already don't have a stance, we already don't have a pivotal point that can't be shaken. So where do we stand? But now it's like we have to get into this groove that is popular. And if you don't fit, you just don't fit. And it's just like, you're gonna, you don't have a place. So is that gonna happen? Or is there gonna be an equal female side, male side, gender neutral side, and express creativity in all realms? Because it seems like there isn't, except certain brands, certain designers, that no one wants to explore as far as you can go within the creative lines of men's fashion. I don't know if you're not going somewhere, to a wedding, or to, somewhere fancy, and you just want regular clothes. I don't know if you've all experienced going to a site, trying out different sites, and you want to go and get, maybe casual wear, maybe some pieces that you can put in that, you can switch in and out. And the site is all women. And you have a section for women's tops, women's bottoms, women's swimsuits, women's formal, and then the shoes, and then the accessories. And then you hit the menu at the top, and you get the drop down, and then it has one section that says men's. And it's barely anything there. It's frumpy, it's not extravagant. We have some stylish men in the industry, and you want to be colorful. Colorful doesn't go either way. You want to be colorful, you want to be eccentric, you want to make a statement, you want to be bold, you want to find things that fit your personality. And I mean, it's old wear. It's old wear. For the market of 18 to 40 in the professional realm, for men, you have to go extremely designer or there's nothing for us. I know I'm kind of like going, but it's just.
No, I like your like step by step. Click here, menu comes.
Yeah, it's a drop down. Look, men's.
I like it. I like it. But like, I think it's funny because this happens. It starts at a very young age, right? Because like I have boys. Like I'm a mom and I have boys, and I remember even when my boys were babies, people tell me, "Oh, you're never gonna find anything cute to put him in because they just don't have clothes for boys." And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm in fashion, so I'll figure it out. But secondly, I'm like, it's not that you can't find stuff, but it's like what you're saying, Devin. You go into like a typical like department store or something like that. There's like a whole section for girls. You go over to the boys section, it's like this big, and it's like, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, so boys don't like to get dressed. Boys don't like to try different things. Boys don't, like, so is that what we're saying? Is that boys, they just want a shirt, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, where did that come from that you can do all this? And I know girls have accessories and all that stuff, but so do men and boys. Like boys like to wear different things and experiment and do this and do that and like all this stuff, especially nowadays. Especially, but it's like you said, it's like I myself, because I'm in this industry, I'm creative. And, please, like my boys are dressed, but for the like average little boy that grows into a man, I'm like, yeah, they really just kind of, it's almost like it's sloppy seconds throwing it, guys. I don't like it. As a mom, I don't like it.
Yeah.
As a mom to boys. So I get what you're saying. And I don't like, I was thinking while you were talking, because you were saying like, for women, there's kind of a pinpoint and stuff. So it's like for women, the standard was set like years ago, and that standard has been there and it evolves over time. But I think for me, the question is kind of like, what is the standard, or who sets the standard for men? And like, what is it? Like society, we're changing a lot. We're becoming a lot more diverse and inclusive and all that stuff. But the standard for women for years was a certain size, a certain look, a certain, whatever. Is there that for guys? Like, is there like a standard for men? I don't know.
I don't necessarily feel like there's an anchor point. Maybe a standard, but not quite an anchor point. Even just today, I was reading an article about Prince Louis, the Kate Middleton, and they were talking about the brothers and how they're coming up in different times, with Will and Kate being their parents, and how now at 8 years old, one of the sons is going to start wearing trousers as opposed to shorts, because that has always been the unspoken standard of aristocratic families, especially in Britain and in the European nations, that until about 8 years old, you'll wear shorts. So I think, in different places, and like in my family, with my culture of being a very conservative family, shorts were never part of our standards. It was quite the opposite. And so I think, when we talk about a standard, that's a little bit different than anchor points or pivotal moments in the history of fashion or the history of marketing. And I definitely feel like there are some iconic pieces that, more feminine styles have looked at and said, ooh, like that rocked everybody's world. Let's gravitate towards that now. But I don't necessarily think that we've had those same, factual or impactful moments in menswear, or more masculine clothing that have said this is what we need to do. But it has been, I think, a little more like a microcosm in fashion. So if you're a businessman, you're always wearing suits with a tie. And yes, the tie length has changed over time. You know, is it past your belt? Is it up, you know, halfway to your chest? But it's still the same recipe. It's just a little bit different proportions. So I don't know that we've necessarily had anyone who's come on the scene for your traditional menswear that says, I'm going to change the way you think about that. And I think that's why it's important, like when we're talking to designers and photographers like Devin, when we're talking, you know, to models like me, and we're talking to reps and mentors like you, that we understand that. Because really, any one of us who are in the industry now could be that person who finds this new recipe and says, this is going to be the moment in menswear, or this is what guys are going to look at moving forward to say, that's what I want to do, or that's going to be my inspiration for my next line. And so I do think being in a place now where we're asking these questions gives us a lot of power to decide that now is that anchor point for definition.
That was powerful.
Said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm like, maybe
yeah.
I should do a men's line.
Hey, I know a model, so just saying.
Like, now my wheels are spinning. Jason, Devin knows this about me, but you say one thing and then my wheels start spinning. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, that's important. I mean, it was just beautifully said because as I was stating earlier, with having a ladies and gentlemen's line, I'm still not into my like designing yet. So when talking to designers and, you know, talking about fashion and what's coming up and what's the look and what's the plan, that's what I'm looking for. This is the type of conversation that I'm looking to have, because just to both of these last two questions, if the gender neutral like line goes crazy and this is the new, like designers are going really crazy for the gender neutral and this is now the standard, it means that everyone across the board would have to get into that to be fashionable, because everything else will kind of take a fall. But I just think that was, that was beautifully said. And hopefully with the tradition, he was speaking towards the tradition of it, the fashion. I think that designers can get really creative with where that can go. Because it is a standard, you know, this might change, you know, a few things might change, but where can we really push this in the, you know, creative department? I would like to see that.
I also think a place where you see, I mean, I don't know, like when it comes to like accessories, jewelry and stuff like that, men versus women, like, you know, in general, of course, now women have started wearing like, you know, the bigger, chunkier watches and stuff like that. But before, usually, you know, women wear very dainty, light, like very feminine, you know, jewelry, even sunglasses were very like, you know, and, you know, nothing wrong with that. Now women have started, you know, wearing a lot of, you know, like women love wearing menswear, which is funny. Like that's a thing now, women wearing menswear. And then I've seen, you know, some men that I know have started even shifting with that, with jewelry. I see, you know, like, you know, Adair down in Brazil, for example, his jewelry line is, I would say, it's pretty gender neutral, I would say. You know, he just does a lot of beading and things like that. And it's not super chunky, but it's not like really light and feminine either. So it's like anyone can really wear it. I have a friend, you know, in South Africa who does a lot of tribal stuff. So again, it's like, it's not one gender over another. Anyone can really wear it. But that's always something that's stuck out to me when it comes to accessories, is like men's accessories and stuff tend to be like thicker and just chunkier and, you know, like, you know, heavier, like, you know, the chains and the big, thick, like bracelets and the big watches and stuff. So I was like, well, I mean, not all men like wearing that big, thick, chunky stuff. Like, do that. So I'm like, I don't even, things like that. It's just kind of, I don't know. I feel like there's still a lot to be kind of unveiled when it comes to menswear. I really do. And like, I didn't even think I would think this deep into when this conversation started, but maybe it is because I'm a mom of boys, and I would just like to see more, maybe more creativity is the word when it comes to, you know, things for guys. And also, I think that a lot of men, I don't know about you guys, but when I've talked to men, they feel like when you say gender neutral, they assume that means the, I'm probably gonna say this wrong, the LGBTQ plus, I don't know, community. Like, so a lot of men kind of flinch when I say gender neutral. And I'm like, well, heterosexual men. And I'm just like, no, like you can be heterosexual and we're gender neutral, right? Like, I don't, it's not, what's the word? Like, I don't think that being gender neutral necessarily means, you know, and vice versa. So I think that that's another misconception with, you know, gender neutral is that it means, oh, well, I'm not. I'm like, well, that's okay. You can still wear the gender neutral stuff, right?
Well, I mean, that's like I'm wearing a white t-shirt underneath of this.
Right.
Look at that. Like gender neutral right there.
Yeah.
You put on this kind of a blazer over top of it and it leans towards one way. You go grab a little lacy top and it's going to go the other way. But at its base, gender neutral. That's it. And yeah, I think that does get us into like what is masculinity, you know, and how do we deal with that? Because if you tell a guy like, here's a men's tuxedo jacket, awesome, I love it, but I'm gonna hang this long piece of chiffon off the back of it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, but it's flowy and it's light and it's, you know, it's an extra fabric that's around here, you know, like I don't think this is menswear anymore. And so it's, you know, not just what is gender neutral, but also what is our standard of masculinity. You know, and I recently did some modeling for a kilt company, and have since started wearing kilts a lot more because I'm a fan. But that's even a thing too, where, you know, there was a point in time where the kilt represented kind of the epitome of masculinity in certain cultures. And now we're in this place where it's like, whoa, is he wearing a dress? Well, it's a kilt, but kind of the same thing. It's a piece of fabric that wraps around, you know. But even that, you know, something as commonplace, I would say, around the world as a kilt, you know, can play with what people expect to see and how comfortable they are with their own identity. So yeah, and I also think importantly, we have to make a distinction between fashion for wear and fashion for art. Because I think we do have a lot more leeway and a lot more freedom when it comes to artistic expression, rather than what I'm going to wear to the office every day, or, you know, what I'll wear when I go to the grocery store, when I get off of here, you know, is got to fall a little more within expectations. So I think that's important too.
I think it's also fashion for culture, because the kilt is cultural, right? And then like, you know, my culture, the African culture, men wear, they're called boo-boos, or, you know, it depends on which country. They all have different names, but like, it's a dress. It's an African dress, and it wraps in lots of different ways and all that stuff. And like growing up, my dad would wear them. It's usually like a robe of some sort and then pants to match with it. But sometimes he would just wear the dress part. And growing up, we would all, us kids, we'd make fun of him. We'd be like, Dad, you're wearing a dress. Like, men don't wear dresses. He's like, first of all, it's a boo-boo. That's one. And secondly, yes, they do. You know, like that we do it. So I think that's another part of it, is that like culturally speaking, like men around the world wear like skirts, kilts, you know, skirts, dresses, like they wear them, robes, you know, so I think that's something to keep in mind too, is like the, you know, like culturally speaking, this isn't a new concept, really. It's not. This concept of men wearing dresses and so that, it's really not a new concept at all, actually. But yeah, so that's very interesting that you brought that up. I saw the kilt. I saw a picture of you in the kilt. I thought it was hot as usual. So.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we did not have my hair pulled up like this for that one. She was like, I need you to reach back into your Scottish roots and come ready for it. And I was like, come on, let's do it. Like, I'm ready. But I will say, as a model, you know, when we're talking about your comfort zones, I had to learn how to model a kilt, because, you know, you put me in a tuxedo and I've got all the classics, like, oh, check the time, look at my ring, here's my lapel, let me fix that square, you know, like boom, 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 you're done. You put somebody in a kilt and it's weird, because one of the things that really stood out to me is you have to have a wider stance. So your legs, as opposed to being, you know, strong and steady in tuxedo pants, you literally bow your legs out so you can see the pleats of the kilt. And it felt very different to be modeling something like that. So yeah, I mean, it was really fun. And now, you know, like I said, I've got several in my own wardrobe now, because it's something fun. And again, it gives us that spin on what is menswear. But as a model, it was a learning experience for me to wear something that's not traditional American menswear and still try to make it look like something that American men want to buy. And so I will say, as a model, stepping outside of my own comfort zone, it was like a really cool learning experience for me too.
That's good. I'm a fan of stepping out of your comfort zone. So
Yeah.
do we feel like we're at a point where, you know, for example, you could wear the kilt to work?
Oh, I've already told them, y'all gird your loins, I'm coming in to kill. Like, what are you gonna do? Yeah, I think it's one of those things where what we choose to wear, you know, Devin said it best earlier, like, we want color and we want a statement and we want all of these things. And so I think understanding the balance between being that person who's going to wear those things and understanding the environment in which you choose to wear them, there is a balance. You know, and it's knowing what's appropriate, or like, are you going for the shock factor or are you going for the introduction factor? And so, you know, I wear my kilts to places where I know more people have been exposed to them, or where the expectations are a little bit wider or looser. But, you know, I wouldn't go to my church on Sunday wearing a kilt yet, because it's still a little, you know,
Right.
not quite where we are as a whole. So I think when we're talking about fashion and using, you know, our models and our articles of clothing as instruments, we have to think, are we trying to teach and influence, or are we just trying to shock? And so as long as we know that balance, I think we can do a lot.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I agree. I like that. Interesting. So I do have another question, because I like talking to the guys, because like I said, I never get the guys' perspective on things. So, you know, women, we are kind of notorious for the cattiness and stuff like that. Not all women, but that's you know, unfortunately, that reputation kind of follows us sometimes. So on the male side, do we have that same kind of thing on the guy side in this industry?
I personally don't experience it much. Well, I can't even say much. I don't. If it is a case, then I don't know it. Just because I'm focused, you know. I'm not looking for, you know. I think it gets more personal. I'm gonna go personal before we get into business. So, I feel that on a personal level, if you're in a place of being insecure, or you don't know your craft too much yet, or you want to be looked at as, you don't show up as the person who's knowledgeable, who's friendly, who's ready to work, but you want to be seen in a certain way, I think that you'll go into the environment in an open forum like this, and you'll speak up more, or you'll like cut this person off because you want to be looked at, because it's all personal. You're in a business setting, but it's personal. And yeah, you want to be the one who's worked with more. You want them to call you. You want to do this, so the brand or the model doesn't want to, you know, I don't know. It's just all kind of, I'm just kind of thinking of, why would you be catty? Why would you, you know, be this way? And I think that it would be personal more than anything. And as a person who is confident in their work and in their ability and in their knowledge, and you like to actually collaborate, and you know that you need to work with others to be successful in business, I think that you don't run into that. So anything that I do, I work with other photographers on projects. I work with other brands who are similar to mine. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs in open settings, and it's all fine. I mean, for me, I like to connect. I want to learn about you. I want to know why you got started. I want to know what you want to do next, and I want to be able to have that, build that relationship. So if it is, I don't know about it, but I would say no. I don't know.
I like it. You don't even pay attention to it. I got it.
No, I'm here to have a good time.
Yeah.
Like we're all creatives. Like let's
Right.
have a good time.
That's how it should be. I'm on that page with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you're hitting on a really good point about like that personal level of things. I always tell everybody, so in my daytime job, I worked in public health for 10 years. And I always say, before I was a provider, I was a person. And before you were my patient, you were a person. And before I was a model, I was a person. And before Devin is shooting me from the other side of the camera, you're a photographer, but you're a person. And so I think what happens is, and I will say, I have absolutely seen a certain element of catty with some models, and part of it is like a competitive market. I know for me, if I cut my hair right now, I'm gonna look like every blue-eyed white boy that's 6'2" with a basic generic catalog look. But when I got my hair down, Devin is like down to here, just so you like.
Yeah,
now I realize it's up here, you can't tell.
Yeah.
Like that gives me an edge. But like I said earlier, I know where my strengths are and I know where my lesser strengths are. And what happens when we're in this industry, and for anybody thinking about getting into the artistic or the fashion industries, as a model, a photographer, a designer, you have to understand you always have room to grow, but you're always going to have places where you're strongest. And you're always going to have people that are next to you who are stronger at something else. And rather than sitting there and trying to compete with other people, compete with yourself to be the best in your area while you're learning and growing from the people around you. And I think the more cattiness we see, it's directly correlated to the more insecurities that we see. And the people who haven't quite, like Devin was saying, like found their forte, or they don't know exactly who they are. And it's okay not to know who you are, but don't take it out on other people while you're trying to figure it out.
Right.
Like go with it.
Right.
But yeah, I think that it is there. But the cool thing, especially when you're working with people who are passionate, is that we look at what can we do together as a team more so than what can I do as a self-serving person. And when you all share that mentality, that's when those referrals start running in. That's when those, hey, I worked with you a couple months ago, can I get you back again? That's when all of that happens. So I think, be a little insecure enough that you can grow, but don't be so scared of what you're not that you miss the things that you are.
Yeah, like I always say, collaboration, not competition, but also just like humility, like
Totally.
I like, and I don't say this to pat myself on the back. Like I've been in this industry for 17 years, and I haven't even come close to learning everything that I should learn, will learn. I will probably be learning things until the day I die within this industry. So like, despite somebody told me the other day, she called me an OG. I was like, oh, I'm an OG now. She was like, yeah. She's like, I think you hit OG at 15 years. I was like, oh, really? I didn't know that. But I was like, but so I'm like, that's cool. And that's cool that like, whatever, I'm an OG, but I'm like, I feel like I'm just getting started though. Like, like I'm like, really me? And so I think that, keeping a certain level of humility, because, and I was watching an old video of somebody that I interviewed like last year, and she said the same thing. Super successful stylist up in New York, has worked with multiple celebrities and all this stuff, has so many accolades to her name, but she was like, I stay humble, because it's like, as successful and as blessed as I have been, there's someone right next to me who has done it at this level. And then someone next to her who has done it at that level, and and everything like that. So for me to sit here and like be like, oh, I'm this and I'm that, it doesn't even make sense, because there's always someone that I can be learning from, and that I should be learning from, honestly. And so what she does and what I encourage people to do, and even what I do, is get around those people who are doing it to that next level. If you've gone to a certain level, now it's time to push yourself and start hanging out with those people who are at this level, and then keep going. But understand, you should always be going. Like, you should never get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm good. Like, I'm all right now. Like, everybody knows me. I'm the this, I'm the that. Like, if you get to that point, then there's a problem, and you should be looking within yourself, because I 100% do not believe that you should ever get to the point where you feel like you know it all and you don't have room to grow anymore. That's just my humble opinion.
No, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. You should always be striving for more, and it's about you. How far do you want to go, and what's the impact that you want to make? I think that when I first start collaborating with someone, I do ask questions, or like with the business coaching and startup. What do you really want to do? Like, what's your goal? And some people just that is their goal. They want to be seen, they want to be known, and once that's done, it's like, I've made it, I've arrived. But if you want to be known, what do you want to be known for? Like, do you want to change lives? Do you want to inspire people who grew up and wanted to do the same thing that you wanted to do as a child? Like, what exactly do you want to do? And I think that even if you reach a certain level of success, as a true creative, as a true business minded, and just a person of personal development, I think that you're always going to have a question of, okay, what can I do next? Like, what do I enjoy doing now? How do I want that to, transcribe into how I'm presented? So I definitely agree. It's all about, your growth and what you want to see for yourself.
Yeah,
I agree.
Thank you for agreeing. No, that made me think of I don't know if y'all have seen pictures or watched. I think I'm saying his name on is it Pierre Moss or Pierce Moss? Pierre Moss. Anyways, guys know who I'm talking about, right?
Okay. I don't. I'll be honest, I don't.
All right, so Pierre Moss, he's the first. He came out a couple years ago. His name is really Kirby Jean Raymond. I think that's the designer's actual name, but his line. He was the first African American to be in Paris Fashion Week, and so he just did his fashion show, I think, last weekend, and it was at Madam C.J. Walker's estate, and so I guess the whole point I'm getting to is what Devin was alluding, like what Devin's talking about like, are you wanting the 15 minutes of fame, or, are you wanting to make an impact? Are you wanting to be influential? Like, what are you after? And his fashion show was different, like African American Black designers, and Black inventors and stuff, but he did it in a fashion form. So for example, I don't remember who it was, but the person who invented the air conditioning, right, is a Black person, a Black man. And so he had a model, like all dressed in white. She was holding like a cutout of a window with like an air conditioning unit in the window, and that's what, like, she walked in. So he was doing things like that. And I'm like, that's powerful. You want to know why? Because if he never comes out with another line again, with another collection again, he has just sent his message loud and clear, right? So like, if he never does anything else, like, he has influenced not just the Black community, the world. I mean, this was Paris Fashion Week, and then such a huge statement doing it at Madam C.J. Walker's estate. You know what I mean? Like, there were so many messages and so many, like, so much influence in that fashion show. So I think, again, back to what Devin was saying, that's so important. It's so important to know, what are you doing this for? Like literally, what is this all for? if you want your 15 minutes of fame, you'll get it. You know, you'll most definitely get it. But is there something deeper that you're doing this all for? Because honestly, when I talk about longevity in this industry is not for the faint of heart. So I feel like if there isn't anything deeper, you might not make it. It's not an easy industry to be in. You've got to have something deeper in here, you know, to stay, to be honest, to stay in this industry, I feel like, because, you know, it's not for everyone, honestly. But yeah, that's my higher moss. I feel like I am saying it wrong, but anyways.
Well, now we're all going to get off of here and go do some Googling and some learning. So I'm excited, whether you're saying it right or not, I'm excited what I'm going to find.
Yes, go Google it. It was pretty amazing. It was a pretty amazing show. And, you know, like I said, very influential show. And his shows usually send a message, you know, which is, you know, what I love. You know, he's using his platform to send very strong messages into the world. So I think that's awesome. But I've loved this conversation. I have a very important question to ask, because this always
no pressure,
guys.
I know.
Super important question. The bag, the man purse. What do you guys lean towards as your go-to?
I was thinking about this earlier before we hopped on, and I was thinking about things that you should have, you know, essentials that you should have, and I was thinking about a bag. I personally have a book bag. Okay. I have a few book bags, but, you know, switch it out different, you know, different colors, things like that.
Do you match your book bag with your outfit? Do we do that?
I can't. It's kind of a yes or no, and I'll tell you why. Okay. Because I don't really have bright color bags yet. You know, I want like a yellow bag, I'm thinking like a leather yellow bag, or a red bag. I love red, you know. It just depends on how I feel. But right now I have neutral color bags. So depending on, you know, what I'm wearing, it has to go with my mood. Like my clothes are going to go with my mood and how I'm feeling today. And also the book bag that's going to come with it. So yeah, I do believe in I only wear book bags. I don't disagree with what are being called men purses or like fanny packs, or, you know, I've just always had like a little backpack, you know, being a kid, you know, elementary, middle school, you know, we had the drawstring bags, you know, do you remember those?
Oh yeah.
And you kind of open it.
Yeah.
You know, I had one of those like for 1 year. I think I was maybe in 5th or 6th grade.
You can't carry anything in those.
Yeah, like, see, my thing is, since a kid, I've always moved around a lot, especially with music. That was my first thing before I even got into entrepreneurship. So with going here, going there, you have to have stuff. Now, this might sound funny, but I mean simple things: lotion, cologne, you know, just a chapstick, whatever. Because what's going on now?
Deck, Devin?
Say it again.
You had cologne on deck?
Absolutely. I got that from my dad. Like, my dad has always been a big fan of cologne, and I love cologne. And back to like really quick, the gender neutral thing. When I was first getting into cologne, my dad introduced unisex cologne or unisex fragrances, and those were amazing. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's really fine. But yeah, I think that we have to carry something, because what's happening now is, I'm a little animated. What's happening now is we have bulky pants with a bunch of stuff in it, and it's like, get a bag. Are you that, you know, into self where you don't want to look like something to where you can't have anything to put anything in and everything's in your pockets, and it throws off your fit, and you're at a social event and your pockets are full? You know, you got to have a place to have your business cards. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I tell you what, I would rather see a man walk in carrying a bag than a man walk in with every single pocket out to here. I
think the bag is sexy. Like, I think because you know, for women, your bag is kind of like with your shoes. It pulls the outfits in. I think it does the same thing with the man. because it's like, you're all like, yeah, it'll be like, like you, Jason, you're all dressed right now. And then you got like 50 things in your hand and stuff. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, it just throws off everything else that you got going on.
Yep.
So I'm with you, Devin. Like, get a bag, get
a bag.
And it doesn't have to be, like you said, it doesn't have to be some big, like I'm a fan of overnight bags and weekend bags. Those are my weaknesses, but like, it doesn't have to be some crazy expensive, huge bag. You can, like, I just got one this week and it's like a very particular design, but it sits down on your thigh. And so it hits on like a belt and then it wraps around your thigh. And it's just big enough for like my phone and my chapstick and my credit cards and a little bit of cash, like just for what I need. The other thing I always tell people too, how many times have we been out with somebody? I'm not putting the ladies on blast, but I will. Oh, can you put this in your pocket for me? Oh, I don't have it. And I tell you what, if you're not carrying a bag for your own well-being, get a bag and carry it for those people around you. You will make so many brownie points when you can carry the sunglasses and the lipstick and the cell phone and I mean, like
that is
come
so
on,
true.
let's do it.
I've been guilty of that. I've still been guilty of that because like I'm wearing like a particular outfit and like the big purse just doesn't flow. So it's like I'm wearing like a wristlet and then I have like 5 things that just don't fit in my wristlet. So like, yo, can you like hold? And then they're like, why didn't you bring a bag? I'm like, because the big bag doesn't match this outfit. Like, it doesn't work. So you need to transport all my stuff now. I'm so guilty of that.
Everyone loves my book bag. Hey, let me put this in your bag. Let me put this in your bag. Yeah.
That is hilarious.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
That's a good point. I love it. Well, gentlemen, I thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's been really great chatting with you. Love the conversation. Love the vibe. Love you too. So, yeah, it was just really cool.
Thank you for having us, and it was really nice meeting you, Jason. I'm definitely find you on social media, and I have questions about the belt, bag that kind of sits on your thigh. I have questions about that. So.
Yes, I've got plenty of answers.
All right.
Yeah, no, it was a great time. Thanks for having us. And thanks for giving guys in the industry, a place, and gender neutral things a place. And I always just like to say to anybody who's watching this, like, you are worthy of being in this industry, and there are at least 3 people right here that are helping you out with it. So let's make today that anchor day where we really make this industry something.
Awesome. Thank you. That is an awesome place to sign off. So thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.